Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today we want to talk about the proposition. Before the sentence, we have something in our head which is the proposition. A proposition, it is the abstract idea in the head. Before making a sentence, we have to make the proposition, then we make a sentence, then we make the utterance. In order to make a statement, for example, we have to make a proposition of that statement. If you want to make a command, you have to make a proposition of that command. If you want to make a question, also you have to make the proposition of that question. If I say I left for London, for example, this is a statement. It asserts information, so you need to make a proposition about that uh, statement. If you want to make a question, you can say, did he leave for London? And when you say, did he leave for London? Also, it is a question and it needs what? It needs a proposition for that question. And if you make a command or order, you can also make a proposition for that command. And that command, for example, you can say, close the door. And this way, you make a command, and that command needs a proposition for the command. In fact, a proposition is governed by the reality and governed by the truth and falsity. The proposition may be true or false according to its connection to reality. So, if I say, for example, the earth is spherical, and if the earth is spherical, then in this way my statement is truth. My statement is true. But if it is against the reality and the earth is flat, in this way my statement is false. So the statement, which is a sentence, then becomes an utterance when it is said, they are what? They are false and true according to the proposition or the idea. And that proposition is governed by what? Is governed by the reality and the connection with reality, whether they are true or false according to what? According to the connection between the idea and the reality. If it is real, then the statement is true. If it is not, then it is false. And at the same time, the sentence and the utterance are affected by the proposition. If the proposition is false, then the sentence is false, and also the utterance becomes false. If the proposition is true, then the sentence is true, and the utterance becomes what? Also true. Another concept that affects the sentence and the utterance is what? It is the correctness. A sentence and utterance may be correct and incorrect. A correct and correct sentence or utterance according to what? According to grammar. But a proposition is not affected by the grammar. So the proposition, falsity or truth, is not affected by grammar. Take this example. If I say, for example, the the earth is, for example, uh, bigger than the sun. The earth is bigger than the sun. Here the sentence is false. Do you know why? Because the earth is not bigger than the sun. And we know that the earth is not bigger than the sun. So this is a false sentence, a false utterance, because of the idea in it is false. But if I say the earth small than the sun, the earth small than the sun, look at this sentence. Also, according to the proposition, is correct. But look at the grammar of this sentence. The earth smaller than the sun. I did not say the earth is smaller than the sun. We have something missed according to the grammar, according to the syntactic rule. we need to put is when we say the earth is smaller than the sun. Even I did not use the word is, but the sentence is still, according to the proposition, correct. But according to the grammar, the sentence and even the utterance are incorrect grammatically. But this concept of correctness does not affect the proposition, which is connected only to the reality. And this way we say that a proposition is language independent. The proposition is language independent because it does not depend on language in order to know whether it is true or false. And we can say that the concept of a truth, which is the main thing according to the proposition, the concept of a truth is dependent on a grammar. The concept of truth is dependent, on meaning, while the concept of correctness is dependent on a grammar. Again, the concept of truth is dependent on meaning, while the concept of correctness is dependent on a grammar. So a sentence may be correct or incorrect. The utterance may be correct or incorrect according to what? According to grammar. But according to the proposition, it is false or true. The proposition, it can be false or true, but it cannot be correct and incorrect according to the grammar because it is not affected by grammar. So we say it is language independent. It is language independent because it is not affected by the grammar. It is not affected by the way the sentences, the utterances are said. So the preposition is independent of language. It is independent of language. For example, if we bring five persons of different native languages, if we bring five persons of different languages and they observe the same event, they observe the same event, they will most probably form the same propositions. They will most probably form the same propositions since they have a common universal tool. They have a common universal tool, which is the brain. So when it comes to the sentence and the utterance, then the sentence and utterance, each of them will be expressed according to what? According to the speaker or according to the person. So when it comes to the sentence and the utterance, each of them will express the same proposition. The sentence and utterance can explain the same proposition in a different sentence and utterance. So the sentence and utterance will explain the same proposition but in a different sentences and utterances depending on the native language of the person using that proposition. It depends on the language of the person that uses the language. So if I bring American person and he speaks English, for example, and I want from him to tell me something about the relationship between earth and sun, he would say the sun is bigger than the earth. The sun is bigger than the earth. He is giving me what? He is giving me a proposition, an idea, and it is shared between me and him and between all the people around the world that the earth is smaller than the sun. Okay? So he is giving that piece of information or proposition according to his language, according to his way of speaking. But if I bring Arabic person and I ask him to give me something about the relationship between the sun and earth, then the Arabic person would say الأرض أصغر من الشمس, using his own language, using his own accent in order to explain the same proposition. In this way, the proposition is something universal, is something language independent. It does not depend on language, but the utterance and sentences they depend on language. They expressed according to the speaker, according to the native language of the users of that language. Thank you very much for listening me, and inshallah we will continue with the proposition, sentence and utterance differences next lecture. This is Mr. Isam Tahir Muhammad.